All right, thank you guys for being with me today. Welcome to Christina being here. I just met her
like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. We're both in the Reiki Master training with Allison.
It's a bit of a refresher for me, but this is wonderful to be here today.
Yeah. We have a couple of people online too joining us. We have Nancy and Carlos. We are in a series based on the Kleshas. And the Kleshas are a piece of yogic philosophy. If you study the Yoga Sutras, you'll find it in the second chapter. In the second chapter, it says, life is suffering. And then it says, but suffering can be avoided. And it goes on to start to talk about the 5 different categories that you could place suffering under. And they fall into 5. The first one was avidya, which is ignorance or illusion, not being able to truly see the state of the true self or the true state of reality. The second one that we went over was the ego. It can be inflated or deflated. It can make us feel better than or less than. We can have too much confidence or not enough confidence or feeling insecure. That can create suffering. Then the third one we talked about last week, which is attachments. Our attachments tend to be, or when we think of attachments, we tend to think of people, places, and things. Right? We think about heartstrings, we're attached to our children, we're attached to our spouse, we're attached to our most prized possessions, we're attached to our, hometown, even if we don't live there anymore, just because we have all these past memories associated with it. But attachments can also bring some suffering. We just mentioned Allison. If you ever go to Allison, when she's doing this energetic work with you, she's probably going to find some kind of attachment. It could be a negative entity, or it could be a cord of attachment related to some karma that you're dealing with certain people, places, or things. And part of that type of work is to see if you can sever that cord so that you're not tethered to the past. We even mentioned trauma. Trauma is something that we can fall victim to, and it's something that we can get triggered by, but we don't have to stay tethered to that experience, and we can override it and overcome it so that it doesn't become a poison. So it doesn't block our peace. I'm saying poison, it's a strong word, but that is another word used in replacement of Kleshas. Because these poisons are mental afflictions that prohibit us from experiencing our true innate peace. This week is aversions. And I mentioned on Monday, there have been students that came to a class that maybe I was subbing that turned around and walked right out the door, even though they didn't know me or had never experienced my class, because they had an attachment towards the teacher they really wanted to take a class from. And they were disappointed when they arrived and they saw me, right? The same thing happened, or I shared on Monday with my past experiences with being with musicians. I had been in a couple relationships with musicians and it didn't end so well. And I had sworn off musicians, and I was pretty much single for 10 years. And if or when I tried to date anything but a musician. And every single one either was a musician or a musician on the side. I just couldn't get out of it. And now, if I had been strong with my conviction about that and said, absolutely not, never more, I wouldn't be in the relationship I'm in now, which is a healthy relationship, which has brought me a lot of blessings. I'm very grateful for the relationship I have, and he's a musician. So things that we try to avoid are sometimes things that may be hardships or trials But think about when you reflect on your life and the challenges that you've overcome, there's always something to learn from it. And you can always tap into your inner strengths. And there may be a lot of healing that needs to take place, but you're always better on the other side. You're always stronger on the other side. So that's what the yogis are saying. Notice what you're trying to avoid. And why are you trying to avoid it? Are you projecting the past onto this person or in this present situation? And it may not need to apply. So we're going to be ending today with a meditation that I honestly have an aversion towards. Because the yogis are saying, notice what you have aversions towards. And it's not saying move into it, right? But I am going to face it today. It is a Tibetan Buddhist meditation. And we'll get to it at the end, so I'll save that. But we're going to start in a child's pose. If child's pose doesn't work well for you, if it's not great for your knees, then I would suggest maybe a passive crocodile like this. But if you have knees that will allow this position, go ahead and take child's pose with your arms outstretched. If your head doesn't quite come down to your mat when you're in this position, please feel free to add in a blanket or a block or crossing your arms to provide a headrest. And I want you to reflect on this subject matter a moment. Aversions. Is there anything that you're currently trying to avoid? Lately, I'm trying to avoid drama and conflict. I even posted a quote of the day yesterday that I'd heard, and it said, try not to fight or feed the collective matrix. Instead, rise above it. And whatever it is that you're trying to avoid, what is your reasoning behind it? You may have perfectly good reason for that. And it may be necessary. Or being the question, are you projecting any past pain or experience onto the present moment? And is that necessary? I want you to try to look at suffering, this series that we're working with, as a portal to a new level of consciousness, to a new level of awareness, and to a new level of realization. And if you look at it that way, that's what really yoga, mindfulness, and meditation is all about. Leveling up. Now that you've been pondering this, take a few deep breaths. Focus on your breath so that you're not becoming too analytical. Use your breath to help to clear some space in your mind. Use the breath as a way to expand your heart and as a way to connect to your body. Continue to observe the breath, and I want you to begin counting
at the initiation of your inhale. See what you arrive to at the conclusion of the inhale. And take the same count as you exhale. So if you arrive to 4, 5, or 6, create the same length as you breathe out. That way, you're cultivating an even, measured breath.
And after you meditate that way on the breath for a few rounds, see if you can increase it by 1 or 2 counts.
Notice as you're counting whether or not you're gripping your jaw, teeth, tongue, or lips. And if you are, soften your face, the interior and the exterior of your mouth. Three more. Whichever position you chose, we're resting on the brow. And the brow relates back to the third eye that opens up our sense of perception, that can broaden our viewpoints and help to expand the mind. Seeing things at a new angle with a new perspective. And this can truly help with this particular topic. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and gather ourselves in tabletop position. Your feet may have joined together in child's pose, so separate your toes away and pushing down through the front side of the ankles, if you can. Stacking your wrists right up underneath your shoulders. And on your next breath, do an inhale here. But as you exhale, you're going to draw the navel in, hollowing out the chest and belly and bowing your head. As you inhale, you're going to reverse the spine and open up into cow tilt. And as you exhale, you're going to cinch in through your belly, waist, and ribs, flatten the back to table, curl the toes under, and launch into downward facing dog. Now from Adho Mukha Svanasana, power down through your palms, keeping them shoulder distance apart, fan the fingers wide. Lengthen out through your limbs as best you can and soar your seat skyward. Now we're going to start to go into a flow, very similar to what we just did as the warm-up. As you inhale, we're going to land to the knees, but this time the toes are going to stay tucked under. As we exhale, we're going to round out the back. As we inhale, we're going to open the heart and throat and look out with the eyes. As we exhale, we cinch in through the belly and low ribs. Take. Inhale, lift the knees, press back to downward facing dog, and on the exhale, you're holding yourself in place. Inhale, we're going to land back to the knees. And as we exhale, we're going to hollow out the belly and chest, arcing high through the shoulder blades. Inhale, open the heart, create a saddle in your back, cow tilt. And exhale, draw in through the belly. Inhale, pick up your knees, sail back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. And exhale, hold. One more of those. Inhale, land to the knees. Exhale, to cat stretch. Inhale to cow tilt. Exhale to table. Inhale, launch into downward facing dog. And exhale, hold. Now walk and travel your hands back towards your toes. Hinging from your hip so that you're folding your body. Bowing your head, loosening your arms to hang down from your back, softening and bending the elbows. And if your hands touch the floor, you could even flip them upside down. You can root your feet and really engage the muscles through the legs, straighten them out, or you have the option to soften your knees and be a little bit more passive. Do what's best for your body and what feels good in the mouth. Notice if your breath became shallow or jagged, and try to smooth it out and deepen the flow. As you're lingering here, I want you to consider that they often say we carry the past around like a backpack. There's deposits from our past if we haven't quite processed what has happened to us. And it often results in pain as it calcifies, for life shows up in the body. So feel as though when you're breathing out that the past is drifting away. You're lightening your load. You're overcoming that past conditioning. Affirming mentally within, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. Not even my attachments or aversions. Now on your next inhalation, slide your hands up the shins. Create space between the two halves of the body. Crank the shoulders back from the ears. Look ahead with your eyes. And then exhale, pour back over and down to your Uttanasana. As you inhale, stand strong in the legs and feet. Sweep the arms in a wide circle and build them up overhead, framing your face with your arms. Chin parallel to the earth. Exhale, bring your palms together and lower them directly down to your heart center. Good. Inhale. Sweep the arms to your sides and up. Exhale, hands can come together as you humbly bow. Once you bow back into Uttanasana, hopefully it feels a little better, maybe a little bit more limber. Walk your hands out in front of you to plank. From plank, it's like you're trying to take up as much of the mat as you can, lining the wrist underneath your arms, or your shoulders rather, stacking the bones and joints. Pluck your quads up into your thigh bones. Keep the head up here. And then as you exhale, back up to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank, restacking shoulders, elbows, wrists. Good, exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. We're gonna do two more. Inhale, coming forward to plank. And then exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank again, but this time you're gonna lower down to your knees to tabletop position, uncurl the toes. This is gonna be the inhale, and as we exhale, we're pressing back to extended child. As we inhale, we're rocking forward again. Exhale, pouring back, hips to heels. 3 more, and synchronize movement with your breath. Try not to allow the movement to be so mechanical and robotic. The breath should lead the dance. The breath is one of our vitals, and it's vitally important in order to establish the state of yoga. Remember, yoga is not the asanas, it really is a state of mind. The next time you lift up, we're going to drop the hips and come down to the floor. Now, we're going to hide the thumb and create a fist. And the thumb here represents the ego, right? Because the ego is something that also creates suffering. We're going to hide that away, and we're going to stack the fist underneath the body at that little groove or indention alongside the pubic bone at the upper thighs. You can determine here what's better for your neck, to rest on your chin or brow. For me, it's the chin. For you, it may be the forehead. We're going to lengthen out the right leg. So slide your right leg longer towards the wall behind you and lift it up. And you're going to hold and breathe. Just your right leg only. Half Salabhasana. One more breath. And then exhale, lower the foot down. Notice how much longer the right leg feels. Match it up with the left. Slide your left leg and foot back, and then lift it off the floor. Notice how it contracts the glutes. The glutes are part of our focus today. I work with a physical therapist in teacher training, and she says glutes and abs are usually the weakest part of the bodies that she sees coming into her office. When we have weak abs or glutes, it can cause problems above and below. Exhale, release. All right, inhale, lift the right leg up. Feel the contraction in the buttocks. That's what we're trying to tone and strengthen here, something we sometimes avoid or revert away from. Exhale, release. Inhale, lengthen and lift the left leg up. Hold and breathe. The hands underneath the body makes it a little easier to do that diaphragmatic breathing. And then exhale, return it back to the floor. Good. Slip your hands back up underneath your shoulders, and we're going to push up into tabletop position again. This time in tabletop position, we're coming back to a focus in the glutes. We're going to lift the right foot off the floor, and we're going to flex through the ankle. We're going to pump and lift the foot higher on the inhalation, and the exhalation, the knee can soften down. Inhale, pump and lift the foot skyward. Good. Exhale, softly release. And do that 3 more times, right side only. You can always pause at the top of the inhale before rolling into the exhale. You also have the option of allowing one breath to roll into the next without the pause. Release the right knee, and then we'll lift the left leg up. The knee is bent, the ankles flexed, pumping and lifting on the inhale, softening it downward on the exhale. I guarantee if you add in that little pause at the top, you'll feel the contraction of those glute muscles. Hopefully you're feeling it regardless, but each one of us can have our own experience with it. Good. Once you descend the knee down, we're going to exhale, roll back to cat stretch. Tailbone tucks, chin sinks towards the chest. Inhale, roll it open to cow. Exhale, table. Inhale, curl the toes, lift up the back to downward facing dog. And then exhale, remain. We're going back into that flow. Inhale, descend your knees. Exhale, round it out. Inhale, open up the front body. Exhale, extension through the front body. Inhale, lift off the ground to downward facing dog. Exhale, hold here. We're going to do one more. Inhale, come back to the knees. Exhale, round it out. Inhale, saddle the back. Exhale, flatten the back. Inhale, lift the knees, sail back to downward facing dog. Exhale, roll the thighs in, power them back, and let the neck be neutral. Again, this is one of the primary poses for the third eye. What can help to give us that broader perspective. Walk the feet forward this time. This time the feet are coming up towards the hands, bowing out to Uttanasana. You can be active or passive with your legs. Affirming again, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back, including my attachments and aversions. Inhale, let your arms sweep to the sides and build you up to stand. Arms reaching overhead. And exhale, bring hands to prayer position at the heart. Good. We're going to use blocks. You don't have to use blocks. So if you have enough flexibility to bring hands to the floor, you may not even need them. I'm still going to use blocks, but I'm going to take them to a lower height. Remember, they can turn to 3 different versions. Your blocks or your hands are going to be set forward of your toes. And again, shoulders lining up over your wrists. So we're bone stacking here. Hips, knees, ankles aligned as well. Now that means we are sending the heart forward and the head is slightly up here. You're looking down towards that space between the blocks. We're going to balance on the left leg and we're slowly going to lift the right leg up behind us. As we exhale, we're going to bend the standing knee and we're going to contract the core and curl the nose and the right knee towards each other. Inhale, lifting and sending the right leg back, head up. Exhale, head curls in with the right knee. One more. Now straighten your left leg. And you're going to lift your right foot in the air, similar to what we did in table. So now we're amping up this flow a little bit. Pump the right foot skyward, contract the right side of the glutes, and exhale, relax. You can even bend the standing leg, but you don't have to curl in. Inhale, re-lift, pump the right foot up. Good, exhale, soften. 2 more of those. Last one. Slowly spill the right foot down. Straighten out the right leg. Straighten out through the vertebrae. And flare that left leg back behind you. Good. Exhale. This time we are going to contract and curl in. Good. That's our new flow. Lengthening the limbs as well as the spine on the inhale. Dropping in on the exhale. Control your breath so it's nice and slow and let your movement follow that. Now stretch out through the spine, lift your left foot, pump it up. Good. Exhale, soften the knees. Inhale, straighten the right leg, lift the left foot. Exhale, relax. If this is too much, I should have told you earlier, you can always come back to that tabletop variation. But we've just got one more, so see if you can muster through one more. Good, now bend the right knee, lower the left foot down alongside it, and slide your blocks forward and drape down to Uttanasana. We're gonna do one more flow before we restore. Inhale, we're gonna step back to plank. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Notice we're not doing any of those chaturangas today. Inhale, plank. It's a new moon tomorrow, so the energy may be slightly lower. Exhale, down dog. Beautiful, do one more. We're weight bearing, so it's a great strengthener for our bone density. When you return to plank, send your knees to the floor, uncurl the toes, and roll it down. All right, I'm gonna get the blocks out of the way for a moment. So now, for me, I've been seeing a chiropractor this past year, and I know that it's better for me to be on my chin here. It's better for me to try to bring the curve back into my neck versus being on the forehead. If you already know the condition of your neck, or just do what feels better to you, but choose one or the other. Your legs are sailing back. This is something I did with Holly last Friday, and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to invite you guys to do it with me today. Your hands are open at your low back. So earlier we did the half locust by lifting a leg. Now we're going to be using one arm at a time and lifting the head and the chest. As you inhale, we're going to remove the right hand and swim it forward, lifting the chest off the floor. And as we exhale, the hand comes back and we lower towards the face. Inhale, alternate to the left side. Exhale, release. Continue this flow of movement, alternating sides. Keep the tops of the feet glued to the mat. This one gets a little harder, to breathe and talk through for me, because we're resting on that diaphragm muscle that parachutes up and down at the base of the ribs. We're going to end with the left arm. Slide your hands back up underneath your shoulders and push up and back to table. All right, we're going to do one twist, and then we're going to move into restorative. So send your right leg off to your right side, plant the foot, anchor down your left limbs, and sweep the right arm open into stargazer pose. Breathe. Exhale, relower the right hand, land your right knee. Inhale, send your left leg to the side, plant that foot. When you're ready, sweep open with your left arm to stargazer. Continue to breathe. Find a comfortable position for your neck, whether it's gazing to the side, up, or down. And then release the left hand. Good. Bring yourself onto your back. I forgot, I wanted to massage the glutes a little bit since we worked on before restorative. So if you come onto your back and you're gonna let your feet dangle, but your knees are gonna be right over your hips. Take the arms and fan them wide open. And as you exhale, lean the knees about 6 or so inches to the left, maybe moving across that piriformis. Inhale, rock the knees to center. And then exhale, move the knees about 6 or so inches to the right. Good, and continue to do this swaying side to side. Hopefully you can feel how it's giving a little massage to the glute muscles here. You're also receiving a twist through your hips, low back and belly. Twist will help to improve our digestion. We'll stretch those muscles that are in the back. And then eventually you can take the knees wider. Maybe going 10 or 12 inches over. Maybe hovering right above the floor. And the next time you come through center, take a moment to wrap your loving arms across your shins or knees. And if that's too much flexion for your knees, you can always cross your arms behind your thighs instead. Giving some length to the low back. A little compression to the belly. This and child's pose are really great poses to take if you ever have any abdominal pain or pressure or menstrual cramps or too much gas in your system. Take one more deep breath, feel the belly swell on the inhale. Feel it deflate on the exhale. And then we're gonna roll over to the right side, which allows a little bit more space for the physical heart. Push down to the left hand and come up. All right, that was our movement for today. Allison requested some movement today, since she's not here. Sorry, I should have asked you guys, what do you want?
That was great for me.
You needed some movement?
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Allison.
Now we're gonna relax a little more. So there's a couple different things. I would grab one block. We're gonna open the heart and the hip. Now, there's a couple different things you can do with your blanket. One way is to have it aligned so that it's underneath your head and your neck. Maybe your head needs more support. You can also take the blanket over the body, but you may be warm enough, you don't need that. I like to open up the blanket this way, fold it long ways in half, like this, and cross it over the belly, sometimes the tops of the thighs. It just helps with grounding. But what we'll do at the hip is we're gonna slide one foot back and then open the knee to the side. Now, it may be, lots of times women are just naturally more open in the hips. You may not even need support underneath that right thigh. But if you need the support, that's where the block is going to tuck. So I'll give you a moment to settle in. Notice if your arms are kind of fanned apart, if you flip your hands open, the head of the shoulder bones will roll back. It's subtle, but they will roll back a little bit more, and that can really broaden the chest. Any back bend, active or passive, it's going to help to promote better posture. It's going to help to open up our breathing. And that's all you need to do now is just rest and breathe.
Relax your sensory organs. Deep in your heart. Savor that space between the thoughts. Notice if you get attached to a thought, how one or more fingers might start to extend. That's your cue to release and let it go. Your fingers can naturally curl in. Calmly breathing, breathing calm. Inhalation. Pick up the right knee and slide your right leg out. Be here with straight legs for a moment. Maybe you even sense a little difference between the right and the left hip. Maybe your right leg feels a little longer or more sedated. Continue to be the mindful observer as we switch to the other side. So let's glide the left foot towards us and then fan open from the hip. And as the knee cascades towards the floor, check in. Do you need a blanket or a block to support that side? And at what level or degree? Once you found your comfort, scan through your body, making sure each and every muscle softening. Let go of any holding. Even any thoughts or feelings you may be trying to hold on to. And then become the observer of the breath, watching it roll in, and equally watching it roll out. Try to relax the crease between the eyes. Try to soften the furrow of the brow. Try to relax your jaw. The breath is our greatest anchor to the now moment. Be here now. Breathing softly, softly breathe. Inhale, lift the left knee. Exhale, slide your right foot back to join. If your blanket is across your abdomen, remove it, and then heel toe your feet to either side of your mat. With that wide distance between the feet, rock the knees to the left. And then windshield wipe the knees to the right. Do that a couple more rounds. And then the next time you roll to the right, let's bring the left hand over to come up to the seat. Now, I would recommend turning your bolster and sitting on the edge of it. Because we're going to move into this Tonglen meditation. So we have this common expression in yoga. You have to feel to deal to heal. And one reason I find this particular meditation challenging is because I feel too much. And you may have that as well. So just try to stick with it, but try not to avert away from it. We're going to do some mindful breath work first. And then the technique is going to be this. With Tonglen meditation, we're breathing in pain, anguish, and suffering. And as we breathe out, we're trying to give space, we're trying to release it, and we're trying to send out loving compassion towards it. Okay, and in the first phase, we're going to be breathing in our own pain, anguish, and suffering. In the second round, we're going to be focusing on someone else's hardships, disease, or whatever they're dealing with, divorce, right? And then we're going to bring it to the earth, because the earth has been abused for a long, long time. We're going to send loving compassion back to her. So let's just start off. Shoulders are going to roll back. The sternum will be uplifted. Close the eyes. Have your hands resting on your lap, palms facing downward for ground. And come back to observe your breath, breathing slowly and deeply in and out through the nose. All your concentration centered on your breath. Letting everything else go. The breath interweaving your mind and body, spirit together as one. To allow us to be in the state of yoga. Now I want you to sit with your pain, your anguish, your suffering. And maybe that's in your physical body, showing up in particular pockets. Perhaps it's some emotional turmoil, something that may have become stirred up with this moon phase. And perhaps it's a trauma from your past that you haven't quite overcome. And each time you breathe in, face, feel this pain. Every time you exhale, imagine releasing it away, sending it your love and compassion. Breathing in suffering. Breathing out passion towards. Make sure that's in your heart. Affirming internally, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I love you, and I release you. Breathe into your heart. Rest your hands open on your lap. This time we are going to envision and perceive someone else's pain, anguish, and suffering. Someone you know, personally or through the grapevine, is having a hardship. Is facing their own challenge. Breathe it in. And send them your loving kindness and compassion. Breathe in their stuff. And give them love and compassion. Left hand over your heart. Right hand on top of that, like you're mimicking angels' wings. Turning, turning. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. I love you. And I release you. Breathe. Now allow your fingertips to drop down to touch the floor. And if your arms don't quite reach, it's okay, your hands can rest on your lap. But I want us to consider this planet, this blue diamond of our universe, this third rock from the sun. The abuse she's been through, how we've taken her for granted. I want you to sense and feel her pain, anguish, and suffering. Send your loving kindness, gratitude, and compassion back to her as you breathe out. And it's okay for the tears to flow, just like rivers flow above and below the surface of the earth. Take it in, receive it, breathe it out. Left hand over the heart to the right hand. Saying internally, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I love you, I release you. Loving kindness and compassion back to your own heart. And seal your hands together to prayer position. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We all walk away from this practice being free and at peace by anything out of our control, anything imposed upon us by another, or any internal stressors of our own. Om peace, peace,